We're on again.
Yeah.
For how many times have you been on, Ryan?
Maybe fourth?
Fourth, third, fourth? No, definitely fourth or fifth, I'd say.
I think it's the fourth.
But it's interesting because obviously on the earlier podcasts, we would have been doing them under your, I wouldn't say alter ego, but under your banner of MANAZ ILL.
Yeah, for the artist stuff.
And I feel like now the last two have been more about Rian Kavanagh.
Yeah, that's facts.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is that how you say your last name?
Yeah.
Kavanagh.
Yep.
And do you feel like, as a person, you've kind of not grown out of MANAZ ILL, but you're starting to be more comfortable in the skin of Ryan?
I've always been comfortable within myself, but I feel like for so long I was just very singularly focused on the craft and the music and everything that sort of was involved with that. And now that I'm sort of branching off into other aspects of my life, I just have more room, I guess, to flesh out these other aspects of my life and present them and share them with the world. You know what I mean? I've always been, very active in my personal, private, and social life, but like I have something else to present to the people now, and another means of bringing value to the society and the culture, and we're getting to see what that looks like through these ventures.
So on the last podcast we did, we were talking about how you would think it was just still an idea. It was in the process of working, but it was more just in its infancy of being an idea. You would do. I vaguely remember the name of the first iteration of it. Was People First Disability Solutions?
So initially it was First Hand. But I've discovered that there's already a company with that name. So I've rebranded, and the company now that I have is called Person First Disability Solutions, Disability Consulting, sorry, because the actual name Person First refers to it's a way of discussing, I guess, an identity in terms of like the being a person comes before having a disability. Do you know what I mean? I'm not a blind person. I'm a person who is blind because I was a person first. Other people have other ways of and other preferences of that form of identity, but that's mine, and that's reflected in the company now.
Mm-hmm. And you're up and running now.
Yes, yeah, got clients, and I've been in networking events for the last 2 weeks. So last week I did a disability events community networking event, both south and north of the city. So out there, just shaking hands and building up that familiarity in the space. I also gave a presentation at the Unkabrinka Council, pardon me, the week before. And already in just the short little forays I've had in networking and participating in the space, I feel like I'm building familiarity and connections, and it's been really, really rewarding and fulfilling, and just looking at and I guess finding the places where I can connect and bring value, So I think some of the stuff we talked about, there's been some changes since then, because everything's fluid and constantly evolving. But at the moment, the services that I'm offering is support coordination for NDIS participants. So working with participants and identifying their needs and connecting them with the service providers and the products that meet their needs. So it might be something like, I have a client who wants to work with some support workers to do some of their everyday life stuff. And I basically work with them to determine the attributes in a support worker that best meet their needs. So,
So almost like you're, I don't know the proper terminology, you'd be like a mediator in between the person with a disability and a support worker you're trying to find the best match for them. Yeah,
so something like, say I've got a client who just has certain preferences, and I'm trying to match them with people who complement their lifestyle, their desired outcomes. You know, for example, if I've got it might be like a teenager, right? I'm trying to connect them with a support worker who's maybe a bit younger, say between 18 and 25. You know, it might be a male if it's a young guy, so that they can have that to relate to somebody who has some understanding of maybe some of their interests, and that way they can really bring the maximum level of compatibility to the client that they're working with, you know, and also just helping them navigate in understanding what they can expect from the support worker, what the expectation is around the service that they're providing, and checking in with them, because ultimately I'm trying to get these clients to the place where, you know, ultimately they can manage their own supports, and I'm trying to build that capacity within them. But I'm also offering the mentoring and advocacy services still.
Yeah.
And I'm still offering staff training for a range of businesses, including NDIS service providers. But I'm also just preparing to start launching my early learning disability education program. So basically what I do is I approach primary schools and kindergartens, and I come in and I talk to the kids about disabilities and the different types and what they look like, and I just work to sort of feed their curiosity, because at that age children are, like, they have such a uninhibited worldview, and it's just such a crucial time to get in and make a positive impact on their perception and attitude towards disability. So I'll come into a space, talk to the children, show them some of the mobility aids and assistive tech. So I'll give them a cane, and they can have a blindfold and feel what it's like to try and navigate, as well as showing them, some of these other pieces of assistive tech that I use in my everyday life to make things easier, and also offer them a safe space to really ask the questions that they have, because I feel like, a lot of issues in society are caused by our inhibitions around discussing them. Like, people are so focused on the right use of words, or things being awkward, so that kids don't get the chance to really investigate and ask questions.
It's also, kids also have the thing where they're just heaps curious, so they're not like,
they see a person in a wheelchair at the shops, and they say something.
Why are they in a wheelchair?
Yeah, and the mum or dad is uncomfortable in that instance because they feel like it's rude, and so they don't get the chance to have that curiosity. So really, for me, I'm trying to offer them a safe space to ask questions, and to have a person with lived experience answer them, and that's so important, because I think, that's something I have that is of tremendous value, is that lived experience, and I apply it through all aspects of my business. In the support coordination aspect, I can use my lived experience to help people really get their needs met in a way that maybe someone who doesn't have the lived experience of a disability, might just never comprehend. I think back to instances like where I've been doing consulting work, and I've been working with a very reputable and well-established organization, and they had a youth program for blind and deaf children, or people with varying degrees of vision and hearing loss. And one of the activities that they were doing with those young people, I'm not sure if I spoke about it here previously, but they were, they'd take the kids out and they'd get them to find like a job interview outfit for from like an op shop. Do you know what I mean? It's a very novel idea, and there's definitely some merit to it, but I sort of put through the lens of my lived experience that it might be more valuable, particularly for the children with low vision or blindness, to really help them understand style and curate their own style, because a lot of these kids, they don't have a visual reference, so a lot of them are just dressed how their parents have dressed them. there's not too much autonomy over their visual representation out in the world. So I put to them that it might be more beneficial to their clients to talk to them about, you know, the people they look up to, the artists that they listen to, and then give them an understanding as to the fashion sense or the you know, the aesthetics associated with whatever you know, culture that they subscribe to, or whatever artists or celebrities they sort of idealize, and then they can start to apply those to their own dress sense and have that sense of belonging visually in the community. And you know, they don't have, a lot of them don't have that.
I actually never thought about that. They don't really have, like, especially with visual impairments, they would have never. Like,
you don't get to see it. You don't.
Yeah, like when I was growing up and I was watching like Kid and Play House Party, and you'd see
whatever,
like you'd see TLC and how they're dressing like their baggy clothes and shit, and you just automatically, you like grow up in rap culture and you automatically, without even knowing, start dressing in similar senses. But people with obviously visual impairments or
they don't get
disability maybe don't get the chance to replicate that feeling or grow into becoming their own person because they've already been labelled like this thing.
Yeah, well, they just don't have the advantage of being able to emulate a style and build a sense of fashion because of through that sense of identity, you know. And that's something that you just can't conceptualize unless you have that lived experience, you know. I also recall, you know, when I was first getting onto the NDIS, a very lovely lady come in and onboarded me and I you know, I just didn't understand what was available to me in the full scope of what I was able to do. And it wasn't until like 2 years later when I had my plan review, and I was fortunate enough to have my plan reviewed by a woman who herself had a disability, and she really expanded my horizons in terms of knowing what I was able to access and you know, the needs that I was able to meet through it. And you know, through that lived experience, she doubled my funding, and also, you know, just gave me that sense of direction of what was achievable with it. And it's something that I apply to all aspects of my business because it's so valuable, and it's something that's really underrepresented in the space. I think it seems counterintuitive, but it's like very much in its infancy where people are seeing the value of lived experience, particularly as it pertains to the disability support space. And it's something that I'm really passionate about, and you know, I'm grateful to be in a position to be able to contribute. I'm so grateful, man, to be in this position and feel like I've got the ability to make positive change in the world, because I feel like so much of our lives we're doom scrolling, or we're seeing the news, and there's just so much negativity, and it's so easy to be overwhelmed and think, you know, everything's gone bad, you know, there's not much I can do to contribute, when really there really is so much in just being in these spaces and connecting with people. I'm realizing that, you know, if you have an issue on a societal level or a cultural level that you're passionate about, and you're seeing a shortcoming or a gap in the world, you know, you really are able to apply yourself and make efforts to rectifying that. And I think that's really powerful, and it's something that I am really passionate about advocating for, because I think a lot of the way the world is due to people being overwhelmed with negativity and then not really feeling like they have much power. And I think that's the total opposite is true. We have so much power if we choose to involve ourselves in our communities more. That's something I'm really looking forward to doing.
We were having a little chinwag, as we do a couple times a week on the phone, and it always ends up being a fucking hour-long conversation usually.
A pod.
We usually end up doing a podcast for free.
Yeah.
Well, we always do them for free anyway,
Yeah.
but like we always end up basically doing a podcast over the phone a couple times a week. and I was saying it would obviously be very funny, but it would also be very educational to do a video of you putting like 5 obstacles in front of me being blindfolded, and just try and do like an everyday task as a blind person.
I think the idea is the 24 hours of you being blind.
The 24 hours I think would be very good, but I actually don't think I would be able to do it unassisted.
We could. I think that's an important part of the experience, though. I don't think that should be something that deters you from pursuing that, because I think the ability to like that's a part of the experience that you can't just turn that off. That's a part of it, you know. And I think even if we didn't do 24 hours, even if it's like, all right, you've got to go to the shop, get your shopping, you got to come back, make something to eat, make a coffee. Let's watch a show. Let's decide to watch a show, and you can see what it's like to have a far more limited choice to the shows that you're actually able to engage with and do you know what I mean, and watch, and you can start to see some of these things and why I'm so passionate about pushing for greater accessibility and inclusion and equity.
Do you know what I reckon would get me the most?
What's that?
At night, when I'm trying to wind down, and I usually doom scroll on YouTube or Instagram Reels.
Yep.
Not having vision for that and having to rely on my hearing, I reckon I would have massive trouble sleeping, or I would just have to zone out and actually go to sleep and have a normal sleep.
What about if the inability to doom scroll has a positive impact on your mental health?
It wouldn't be a negative thing, but I feel like
challenging.
The first night I would definitely get withdrawals, because you do. That is a legitimate addiction. Like,
yeah, of course.
If you don't have your phone, if I wouldn't have my phone on me for a night, I would go through legitimate withdrawal symptoms. Because I without knowing, will doom scroll on Instagram, or I'll go down a rabbit hole on YouTube. But I'm a very audio driven person. I have my AirPods in on my day off today. The only time I'll have my AirPods out is on this podcast.
Yeah.
I'll have my AirPods in. My phone might not be near me. It might be on the other end of the house, but I'm always listening to content.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
Which you think, because you're not visually looking at it, you're not doom scrolling still?
You know, I've been trying to break it a little bit and trying to find just moments in the day where I just do really focus on being present, because I think there's a lot of power in that. And I think that, you know, one day, if you're, for whatever reason, your phone breaks or whatever, it's going to be a rude awakening and a tough adjustment. So even things like going for walks, I used to listen to music and stuff like that. I really do try now. Just
you raw dog it.
Yeah, man.
No music, no anything.
Because also, like, walking, I come up with so many ideas and stuff like that, and I feel like I just wonder how much listening to music on my walks, even though I really do enjoy it, I love it, I wonder how much it inhibits my brain function in that regard. So I just do it. It's 45 minutes, do you know what I mean, of a day. I go and just be really present out in the world, and I find that presence, it does definitely contribute value to my everyday life. And that's even that is I made a post the other day. I was talking about, because when we discuss disability and things like blindness and in any regard, I can speak to blindness because that's my lived experience. But like, there's we have you have your preconceptions in regards to the challenges that are associated with it, in terms of just navigating, or not being able to watch things, or whatever that may be, right? But one of the lesser known sort of things that impact people with a vision impairment is, like, there's a bit of exclusion on a social level, because when you think about when you're like out and about, right, you've got people that you have a connection with who you might never talk to. You probably back out and you might just give a head nod to your neighbor, or a wave to the person you see down the street. You don't actually know them, but like, you have that
give them the nod,
rapport with them, and that makes you feel included in your neighborhood. And on a social level. Do you know what I mean? Blind people really don't have that. So, you know, I made a post the other day just about the importance of, if you see a blind or a person with low vision in the community, like, say hello as you're walking past. You don't have to stop and have a big conversation, but just building that familiarity it just does a lot for social inclusion, because, you know, if people aren't doing that, then you're just walking past people and it's a very isolating feeling, you know, whereas just a simple hello can do a lot to make you feel like you're not alone in the world, you know. And I'm sure every disability has those sorts of I wouldn't say like secondary, but, you know, these other things that people just never consider that impact the quality of life and the feeling of inclusivity, that, you know, because just I don't get the chance to participate if we're just trading nods every day, or waving, or just smiling at someone as you walk by. But you think about sometimes those little interactions, I'm sure, can change the course of your day. Do you know what I mean? If
especially if you're having a shit day.
Yeah, someone just takes the opportunity just to engage with you briefly in passing, like it's something that I think a lot of people take for granted. And again, this is just one of the things that, unless you have that lived experience, you can't really quantify, you know.
Before we stray off too far, where can people find your Instagram handles, your like where can people see your business?
So it's at Person First Disability on Instagram and Facebook, and the website is Person First Disability. personfirstdisability.com.
Is it up now?
Yeah, it is up now. I've got to update it a little bit, rejig it a little bit, but it's there. So yeah, you're welcome to go check it out. And I'm excited to start, you know, posting little pieces of content like this on the Facebook and whatnot. But I'm really looking forward to just building, I guess, more of a sense of community and fostering these connections, you know.
What I'll do is I will extract the audio from this within the next couple of days, and I'll send it to you.
Fantastic.
And then you can just tell me what you want.
Yep.
And I'll have it all ready to go. This one will be up. I reckon I might drop 2 episodes on by the time you see this. I think I'll be dropping 2 episodes next week. I'm trying to ramp up the content a lot now.
Yeah, killer.
I've got heaps of, like, I just get massive influxes of guests sometimes.
Yes.
And I don't know, like, what to do with them at all. Like, and you can't obviously spread them out because a lot of it is based on, like, current events and shit like that.
Yes.
And in internet years, if something happened last week, you missed the boat already.
Yeah, that's facts.
But yeah.
Something I wanted to talk about as well, and it's something that, like, it's present in my mind a lot and it weighs on me. We did have the brief conversation last podcast just regarding the R word, and I'll give a little trigger warning now for people who are offended by it, but I think it's important for us to be able to use words and address issues with them. So,
in context.
Yeah, and so we're talking about the word retard, and, you know, I spoke previously about how I felt like the use of it was kind of increasing, and how I kind of correlated that to maybe the fact that certain other words are more like you're more restricted in using them, like homophobic slurs have decreased in prevalence, I feel like, compared to where we were as children. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like,
yeah, no, I fucking sling that word around all the time without even knowing.
And I wanted to have this conversation with you based on that understanding, because I think, and it's important that people have the context of knowing that when I have this conversation, it's not coming from a place of judgment or a place of critique, but a place of just wanting to expand understanding around the word. And I guess the reason that the word itself is so problematic, and the use of it, like, frequently, offhandedly and casually is problematic, is that word and lots of similar words to it have been used to invalidate and perpetrate horrific horrific human rights violations against people with disabilities for a long time. And I think to contextualize that word maybe might help people understand as to why those of us in the disabled community have issue with it, because there's a long history of horrific treatment of people with disabilities, from people being thrown into asylums and left to rot in their own filth. There's statistics that show that doctors are less likely to give organ transplants to people with disabilities. There was forced sterilization at a certain point in our history where people with disabilities weren't deemed fit to have children and were sterilized. That's horrific. That's horrible. And words like this were used as justification to perpetrate these horrific acts. The children with disabilities are 3 times more likely to suffer bullying and things like that. And it's these words that give power to the ability to exclude people, some of the most vulnerable people in our community, and the continued use of that word, even when it's not in the context of referring to a person who specifically has a disability. Like it rarely is when I hear it, but that the continued use of the word, you're using the words of people who have done horrific things that I'm sure don't align with your values. Like so many of my friends use the word, and I know their intentions, I know their character, and I know that's not in alignment with what they think and how they feel about people with disabilities. But allowing that word to continue to breathe means allowing the pain of some of these acts to continue. Do you know what I mean? And we can all talk about, I didn't mean it like that, or what you don't mean to do, but let's talk about what you do mean to do. And I think that as somebody who has love for a person with a disability, as somebody who realistically is probably gonna have some form of disability at some point in their life, I think you should mean to not use language that isolates and continues the marginalization of that community, because these are relics of a time past, and there's no value in holding on to them. I know that a lot of people feel like their freedom of speech is under attack when people sort of raise issue with words like that. But it's not your freedom of speech. You're free to use whatever language you want, and you should use that freedom. We have enough words that you have the freedom to use to find other ways of saying what you mean. And it's not like I'm going to crucify people when they use it offhanded, because I understand everybody's trying their best, and it's going to take some time to take that word out of your vocabulary.
It's so hard to untrain yourself to do things.
But I remember when I was a teenager, right? And there was the homophobic slurs that we all used back then, and I remember using them freely myself. And I had a girlfriend at the time, and her brother was gay, and he never said anything to me about my use of it, but I found myself just feeling so awkward and uncomfortable when I would do it around him, that I just trained myself out of saying it, because I was like, well, I'm not applying, when I say this word, I'm not even talking about a gay person, right? But what we are talking about is it's always a negative connotation, right? There's never a instance where a homophobic slur or the word retard is used with positive connotations. You know what you're saying when you're referring to it, and it's negative. And so by having that meaning attached to a word that applies directly to these people, and you say, but I'm not even talking about gay people or people with disabilities, but you're using something that has been used to describe them with a negative connotation, has a lot of trauma involved with it, a lot of strong emotions, And you can't choose how people receive it. And the other thing is, like, I know it's a big thing at the moment. There's a lot of pushback on, quote unquote, the woke agenda. And I always hear the same thing, and it makes me laugh because people are always like, oh, you got this crybabies crying over words. But bruh, you're the one crying over the words.
You ain't give them up.
Yeah, like who's really more sensitive here? Someone who's been like, hey man, that word has pretty horrific history and there's a lot of shit you might not understand attached to it. And like it's who's really being more sensitive? The person who has an emotional and historical connection to the word, asking you please not to use it, or the person who's like, I just can't be fucked thinking of other words, mate. Like that's snowflake. That's an emotional response, and I think that it's hypocritical. Like, man up, find other words. You can do it. I promise, it's not going to hurt you.
Do you know what's always confused me? You actually might have more of an insight in this to me. Why is Minder called Minder? Because Minder is like another word.
There's a negative connotation to it. But do you think? Yeah. I guess it's the chicken. I don't have the history of the word or the company readily available to me in this moment. But I would say that maybe it's. I would hazard a guess that maybe the company came first, and because it provided.
That's probably an Australian, because I imagine that Minder would be an Australian one.
But I think it became a negative word for people with disabilities based on the fact that of the company.
Was the company. Yeah, right.
Which is horrific in itself. Like there's a company that does great things, and I'm sure they have their issues and whatnot. I can't attest to their competency or their morality or anything like that. But on paper, I'm sure they deliver a great service. And some point along the timeline, it's been like weaponized against the people that they help.
Do you? Because my ex obviously works for Minder. Do you, it's such a big company, and they have so many staff, and they're in a constant need of so many staff. So by my understanding, it's really easy to get a job as a disability support worker. Do you think it's too easy? Because I've heard, not from my ex, just in general in the broad spectrum, because a lot of people I know work in disability. I've obviously heard horror stories because you always hear about the bad stories, you never hear about the good ones, but there is a lot of bad ones.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's because it's very, very easy to obtain a job in disability.
Well, look, that's why part of the reason I do what I do. Like, I recognize that it is easy, to get a job. And while I don't have a solution, do you know what I mean? Because the disabilities sector does have a crisis in terms of qualified professionals. There's not enough of them. They need more. The NDIS is growing. There's a growing demand for it. But I'm sure that companies and the powers that be are just trying to meet the need. But in doing so, it does mean that there's quite a vast disparity between people who have qualifications and Joe Blow who needs a job and has just walked in and is here. So that's part of the service that I offer is recognizing that, identifying that, and the staff training I offer is where I will come into a company, and it doesn't have to be a NDIS service provider. It could be any. Ultimately, I'd like to take it to all mainstream companies with a public facing staff. But coming in and trying to close that gap a little bit, and arm their staff with the knowledge and skills to be able to bridge the gap between the people who are have their Cert 4s and whatever that may be, and the people who have no lived experience or no qualifications, and make it so, because they support workers provide such a crucial and valuable service. I just want to make sure that there's a base level of understanding and skills that they have to be able to provide the most value that they can to their clients, and that's a huge driving force as to why I'm doing what I want to do, because I identified that. I realized not everybody has the capacity or the ability to go and get the qualifications they need, and we are in the crisis. So how can I contribute to making a more positive outcome in that regard? That's I'm so glad you asked that, because that was such a huge driving force. And there's just so many like things that, you know, people with great intentions do that undermine their acts of service. You know, like even recently I had a support worker, and I just get to do some running around. Come do this. Let's go here. I got to get this. Help me do that. And you know, even little things like, you know, I was talking about my work, and she was just like, oh, it's so impressive that, you know, a person with a disability can still go.
Patting you on the head.
Yeah, it was just
good
really,
job, buddy.
it was just really condescending, and I was like, you know, that's like, don't do that. Like,
do you feel like when you went to, you don't have to like put specifics on it or anything, but just like when you went to these conferences or these little meetups you went to on the north and south runs, when you were going and slapping hands with people and trying to meet people in the industry and networking, did you feel like even they were kind of being like giving you the old pat on the shoulder, like, hey buddy, good job? Yeah,
I definitely felt it might not have necessarily been that. There was a few instances where like I had someone with me, and a few people would like, a really big common thing that people do when they see somebody with a disability is they talk to the person they're with as opposed to them, which is just really rude and dismissive. And like, you know, imagine if you and me were out and we seen somebody, you need to go to the shops, right? We come in, I facilitate the interaction. Hey, how you going? And then you say what your needs are from this person, and then they address me.
Oh, that'd give me the shit.
Do you know what I mean? That's disrespectful. And I understand it doesn't come
still here and talk, motherfucker.
Yeah,
what the hell?
It's like it's not like they're trying their best. Like, it's not like a malicious thing.
Yeah,
but it is demeaning, and it is just a really horrible thing to do. And especially, you know, I think. But the intention behind it is pure. They just want to meet the person's needs, and they're not sure of what their capabilities are. But it's like
ableism.
You can just ask.
Yeah,
you can always just ask, and that's something I really want to, I guess, impress upon anybody listening. If you see a person out in the community with a disability, and you maybe have thoughts as to whether they might need some assistance, go and ask. But say, like, excuse me, I'm just wondering if you need any assistance. And sometimes they might say, yes, thank you, could you help me with this? Or they might say, no thanks, I'll work it out, or I've got it. And like,
sometimes they might even get offended, but that's just maybe they're having a shit day.
Yeah, but just go and ask, and if they say no, just be like, all good, and you don't take it personally. Don't be offended, because that's a weird thing that people do as well. They like are intent on helping regardless as to whether the person requires it or not. And when somebody says no thank you, and maybe has to double down and be like, I'm good, like they get weirdly offended and upset by it.
But they had their phone, they had their camera ready to record the interaction. They're like, this is going to blow up on Instagram.
the other thing is like, and if they do ask for help, or if they do say, yeah, I actually could use some assistance, ask them how. Don't just like step in with what you feel. Like, the amount of times that people have like just randomly like grabbed me, like, first of all, like, you wouldn't do that to a non-disabled person. Just walk up and just grab them and steer them. Like, and secondly, I can't see. So when you come up and do that, like, it's really jarring. It's unsettling. It's unsafe. Like, it's really rude. And like, if your intention is to help and support and show your compassion, that's not how to do it. Just ask if the person requires assistance. If they say yes, say, how can I help you? And then they will tell you their preference as to how they would like to be assisted. And it's these really simple, common sense things, but the sense is less common than we think, you know, and that's fine. That's my job, is to educate and help people navigate the nuances of supporting people with disabilities and understanding these things, you know.
You've really calmed down on the use of nuance.
No,
that was a popular word. But that was the last time. I remember you. Wasn't it nuances?
No, I think it was intrinsic.
Intrinsic was a big.
Yeah, that was my word.
I had to Google what that meant.
But
even like you, when I can't remember, we were out having a few drinks recently within the last month or two. And we were at Goobsy's house, and I was like, "Oh, let me try and navigate your phone. Let me try and get to Instagram." And the first thing I did when I grabbed your phone was look at the screen, and it's not there.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh no, I'm stuffed here."
Now you just have to listen. Well, I don't remember this happening.
Really?
No.
You were pretty inebriated.
Okay.
But I was trying to go, and your phone speaks so fast.
Oh, that's the other thing.
And I was like, "Oh my god." I was like, I wouldn't even be able to get to YouTube.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, it's crazy how quickly, like, so watching you navigate it, you do it so quickly, and so, like, you use it just as I would use a phone.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know how the hell you have to even learn how to, that would be such a different learning curve.
No, the thing is, like, a lot of people say that, you know.
You're probably better, you listen good, though.
Yeah, but also, like, it's no more difficult, I'm sure, than what it was like for you when you first got an iPhone.
Yeah,
and had to work it out.
It's just a different skill set.
You just got to work it out.
Yeah,
you know, it's the same. It's the same with like when I learnt Braille. You know, it came with its own set of challenges, but I'm sure it was like no more difficult than just what it was like for you to write.
With Braille, is it so? It's obviously a series of a system of
dots.
like perforated dots, so you can touch them.
Dude, it's pretty insane, Braille.
But
man.
What's an A?
An A is a single dot,
and then a B would be two.
It's one dot above and one below, and then a C is a B on its side. But this is the thing, right? You got to think. This is an entire
different language, but
it's made of 6 dots.
What's a Z?
I couldn't articulate the shape of it to you, but I just want you to understand. It's like, think about all the keys on a. There's how many letters in the alphabet?
26.
Right. So you've got 26. The Braille,
if that's correct.
But everything in the Braille, in Braille is variations of 6 dots, like 6 keys.
That's crazy.
That's insane. Like, yeah.
I'm just looking it up now.
It's and then like the numbers
26, yeah.
So A through to I is 1 to 9, right?
What are you reading in binary? What is it? Braille.
Yeah.
How do you spell Braille? B-R-A-I-L.
I-double-L-E.
Braille alphabet. I'll bring it up.
But yeah, the numbers is like so A through I is 1 to 9, and then J is 0, and then but there's just a different like symbol that you preference the letter with to make you understand that it's a number.
That's a spin out. I'm looking at it now.
And then there's like, so it's really common words like and, of, with, the. Instead of writing the whole thing every time, they just have one symbol. So and is one symbol, of is one symbol.
Like an O?
No,
it'd be its own thing.
Its own thing, yeah. The is its own symbol. So I think it's contractions. So just, yeah, really common everyday connecting words have their own symbols.
So say you wanted to write something to another blind person, or to someone who can read Braille. Do you have like a specialized pen that kind of leaves a marking?
No, there's Braille machines. So there's Perkins Braille, which is like it looks like a typewriter. And you put the paper in, and then you use the keys to write it. Or there's other ones. There's probably been heaps of advancements. I haven't personally used Braille probably in like 20 years.
I was going to say, are you still like fluent?
It's updated. There's been like
you just have like emojis and shit now. Like
there's been some developments since I've used it past. The only time I've used it in my adulthood has been like when I've dropped an album and I've done signed copies, and I'll just like go and braille up MANAZ and then stick it onto the CD.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely evolved. So I couldn't like say with 100% confidence that if someone gave me a Braille book with whatever the modern version of Braille is, that I would understand and read it fully, because I'm sort of confined to the limitations that I have of when I was educated in it.
Well, Siri and like phones would have been a game changer.
Yeah. And screen reading technology. So you
Game changer.
Using a laptop. I was using a laptop since I was like 10, 11. Do you know what I mean? And using JAWS, which reads everything out, and that.
It was funny. I was watching a thing and they were explaining how like different the English language is now because of text message.
Yeah.
Like just the little things like you now, like no one writes you, Y-O-U through text message. Everyone just writes the letter U. And like how emojis are like our version of hieroglyphs now. It's like a picture that tells a story.
This is a great conversation. Let me interject here, because I'm pretty sparing of my use of emojis. So if you get a text, right, and it's not contextualized with emojis, do you receive it differently? Like if
I read it more harshly.
Yeah,
like I read it more sternly.
That's a very common thing. Whereas I don't really use emojis heaps. So then my communication probably seems very like harsh and utilitarian.
Dry.
Yeah.
Like I got a friend who he'll use very proper punctuation.
Yeah.
And he will put full stops at the end of his messages. And I'm like, is this motherfucker mad at me? Like, what have I done to deserve this?
See, that's so interesting, because
because once you put a full stop on a text message, it means the conversation's over. Like, do you notice that now? Like, have you ever noticed that?
Well, because I read, like, unless I scroll through letter by letter, I don't get the context of knowing the exact, punctuation and stuff like that. But I write the same way. And so
you write you write how you're supposed to write.
Yeah, exactly, because it's just
like if I sent.
But it's what I wanted to quickly say is like it's just so interesting that like you view the lack of emojis like
it's drier,
but you kind of you perceive it negatively, right? But why?
I don't know. It's just conditioning.
But like, what conditions are responsible for making you lean instantly towards it being a negative as opposed to?
I wouldn't say a negative. Emojis.
Wait. When you're angry, what emojis do you send?
I don't send emojis when I'm angry.
See, that's the problem.
Yeah, see,
that's the problem.
And like that's when I'm angry and I'm messaging someone, then I'll start sending. That's when my punctuation and that because as soon as you're having an argument with someone, there's nothing worse than texting someone and spelling. Yeah, there's nothing worse than mispronouncing something or writing, or they say duck instead of fuck. Like there's just nothing worse. It just irks you because then you got to send the stupid the thing with the asterisks. And when did that become? When did the asterisk become the correction tool? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes, I do know exactly.
Like when did that come about?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like it's so funny, and it's a full stop means it's end of conversation. It's like if I send my
but conversations are made up of sentences.
Yeah.
Which should have full stops at the end of it.
I'm sure that I'm not the only person that thinks
that's
this.
a common thing. That's why I wanted to talk to you about this, because I think it was my son's mum, like pointed out, just like she not in context of like me, but she was just saying about how people who don't text with emojis, like it comes off as really harsh and like.
But also, if I was messaging someone for business purposes and they sent me an emoji, I'd be like, that's fucking a bit weird.
But I just think that would just really annoy me to like, because I try to really clearly articulate myself, and then having to like, I find that quite easy, and then having to sit there and be like, now what emoji should I use? Do I want to use the rolling on the floor or the face with tears emoji, like tears of joy, or do I want to like a fist bump? Like it just
I have emojis that I use for certain situations,
and like you've got your ones that you most regularly use, right?
Like my biggest one is the two eyes that are like slanted to the side, like
okay.
always It's like take a picture of something juicy online and send it to my mates and just do the eyes
That's
emoji.
hilarious.
But
That's hilarious.
like, say you were messaging your baby mama. Say you were messaging her and you sent her a really long message and you really thought it out very well and you were just talking casually, and then she just sends back a okay, full stop.
I understand that people. I understand like
You'd be
people.
like, oh no.
No, I
What's
understand
happening?
people receive, but me, I guess I'm all about the utility of talking. So if she can adequately respond to everything I'm saying by acknowledging it and saying okay,
That'd give me the shit.
then that meets my needs. I'm not looking for like a well crafted warm response. If we're just trying to get needs met here, like why? Like I know, like my mum will do that, or she'll send a thumbs up or something like that. And I know people, but like I know her.
My dad
I think
does that
you got to
too.
contextualize things
Yeah.
and know people's intentions. I know that they're not
Oldies
trying
love
to
a thumbs up.
I know they're not trying to be cold. They don't know how that's received by a younger demographic. So I receive it as they intend it for me. Do you know what I mean?
But when I send people
Also-
text messages, it's like a masterpiece. I'd even cover them in invisible ink now. You
Yeah.
can send all different types of
Wow.
messages.
But also, I voice message more often than not.
Voice messaging is a game changer.
I love voice message.
Voice messaging is a game changer.
Some people are like, shouldn't be allowed to voice message. Like some people will send you like a 3.5 minute thing, and then they'll send like a couple of them, and it's like now I have to like, it's like listening to a TED talk. I gotta like listen to it 5 times, and it takes 15 minutes just to formulate a response. Like, but the other thing is coming back to certain things about like being excluded through means that you might not necessarily consider. It's like, man, I know that memes is like a love language for people. Do you know what I mean? A lot of people's group chats is like primarily. That's probably why I'm not in many group chats, because it's like most of it is just people sending memes.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I just don't. It's not accessible for me, so it's just like
I have 2 group chats, and it's basically with the same people, but they're for different purposes. Like one is strictly for hate, and one is like just the boys being boys, sending funny stuff throughout the day to each other, like funny Snapchats. One's a Snapchat
Yep.
group chat.
Yep.
I think there's like 15 of us in there.
Awesome.
But we're all very similar, and we're all very similar in our humor and stuff, and it's very funny.
yeah.
But like, you got to be careful with these group chats; they can get wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't. That's the other thing is I don't like being in group chats because just your phone's just blowing up for mad long, and it's like, and if you miss too much of it, now you got to scroll back for mad. Like,
I was getting roasted on the group chat for like an hour and a half, and I was at work and couldn't even defend myself. I had to come I had to come back to my phone and sift through just pages of slander. Just real high level, highly technical
roasting,
slander.
yeah.
Just
Yeah.
roasted. Couldn't come back from it. I actually was happy that I missed out on it.
Yeah.
But it's funny watching, like, there's actually like a style to which people text now.
Yeah.
Like there's different styles of how people text. Like I am not the kind of person to send one long paragraph.
Yeah.
I will send a message and end that, and then I will send another
you're
one.
a multi-messenger.
Yeah, but
I hate
use it. I
multi-messaging,
use
bro.
it for emphasis on things
I
and
don't
timing.
like it.
I use it for comedic timing because it's funnier when
Yeah, I see it in that regard. Yeah, I can understand.
I
that.
use it for comedic timing.
Yeah.
It's very it's how I write messages.
Yeah.
But I can see how if you're not used to it, it would be so annoying because I don't write one long message.
I just hate it. I hate like when you get a message and you start responding, and then
And there's
by
10
the
more.
time you look up, there's like 5 more. You're like, but bro, I just.
See, I actually prefer. I do prefer voice messaging
Yeah, voice messaging is the way to go.
because you can capture the person's actual voice. It's hard.
And you know what? That it bridges the gap. It gives you the context and the
how
emphasis
it's being said.
that you're missing from my lack of use of emojis, because you can hear the tone of my voice. Do you know what I mean? You can hear inflections. You can pick up on. You can even hear when a person's smiling when they're speaking. Do you know what I mean? Like, and so it gives it's that makes sense as to why I favor that, and also it's way easier than just. For me, it takes a bit longer to write a message, a text. So yeah.
Have you seen the new iPhones? I believe you can just create your own. Fucking hell, I've had a crumb on my beard for hopefully not the whole podcast. That's so annoying, bro.
That's why I said last looks, bro. You got to get in the habit of doing last looks before you start.
I had a like 2 podcasts ago. I just had like this bit of pastry right in the middle, and the guest did not say anything, and it was there the whole podcast. On the new iPhones and stuff, they got like AI emoji, so you can make whatever emoji you want. Do iPhones take like, I don't know, is that your primary phone that you've ever used?
Yeah.
Would you say they take much care in like the
accessibility
features?
They're great at accessibility, man.
They are.
Yeah, they Apple, you know, by my understanding, it's an evil company. Does some horrific things, but in terms of accessibility, they've nailed it from day one, I think. And like for my needs, anyway, there might be people with other issues that they don't meet their needs. And I'm open to hearing that, but for me, it's really good. And even just AI, dude. Like, I know everybody, we talk about it a lot, and everybody has their opinions on AI, particularly creatives. And you know, for all of the negatives, I've got to say, for people who are blind, AI is a game changer, man. Like, I'm in a group on Facebook called AI for the Blind, and it's just a group of people just sharing how they've used AI in their everyday to make their everyday lives easier. So something I use, I've got an app on my phone called Seeing AI, and basically I can use it to my phone's camera, so I can, like, say let's say for example, like at bedtime for my son, right? I think it's really important, like reading books to your children, and so I didn't want him to miss out on that. So what I do is I'll get him to go choose a book, and then I use my Seeing AI on my phone to look up to get the title of the book. So I just hold my phone over the front cover, and it tells me the title, and then I jump on YouTube and I look up the title of the book in addition to the words read aloud, and then I just find a video of a person reading that book. I put my headphones in, and I just like read it as they're reading it, so he gets the experience of reading a book with his dad, you know. But man, there's so much incredible stuff.
Well, with that, like, is that just strictly text? Like with the AI on your phone?
So you can do currency. It will tell you different denominations of
like
money.
If you took a picture of a person, it wouldn't describe that person.
You can. There's AIs that will do that to a certain extent, but it will do colors. So it will tell you the colors of stuff. It will do all sorts of stuff. Even for stuff like people send me a PDF or something like that, something that might not be accessible with a traditional screen reader technology. You can just go on your phone, and where you go to share, you can just go to recognize with Seeing AI, and it will just correlate the text, and I can just read it like that. But man, I've seen one person, I think it might have been ChatGPT, and they were like, so it was in America, and it had just gone 0 degrees, and is it the thermostat or whatever they call heaters, they had stopped working. And he opened it up, and he used ChatGPT in conjunction with his camera function on his phone, and he was like, yo, what does it look like the issue is? And it was like, ChatGPT was like, it looks like the issue is this thing. And then he went on YouTube, found a tutorial on how to clean it. Then he used ChatGPT to help him find the specific part of it. He was like, is this the part? It's like, that doesn't look like the part, but the part you're looking for is generally on that model, located in the 3 o'clock position relative to where
he was blind. This man was blind.
He's a blind man. Yeah. So then he found the spot. He's like, "Is this the part that needs fixing?" He's like, "It looks exactly like the part that needs like fixing." And then he like cleaned it, and then he used AI to help him find the spot to put it back, and he got his thermostat working again.
So I was just gonna say, like, that feature that you're using for that app, ChatGPT can do that now. So if you get your ChatGPT out and took a picture of me, it would explain like what I look like.
Yeah, within certain limitations, right? Because I'm all about just I want to understand the limitations of the tech that we're working with. So this is funny. So there was a girl on my Facebook. She posted like a thirst trap. I was like, I wonder how this AI is going to describe this, you know. So I put it in there, and it was so funny, bro. It just described like the setting, described her outfit, described her her complexion, do you know what I mean, without giving the context of like the fact it was a thirst trap, do you know what I mean? Like
I've actually never. I use ChatGPT for multiple things. Like all of my thumbnails, I use it to assist me with like I like to make every guest like a specialized thumbnail. I think it's a cool thing that my podcast does. Every thumbnail, I put like a shitload of effort into it.
Yeah.
And I use it so if I take a picture of my fridge or my cupboard, I can be like, just whip me up like 5 dishes I can make out of all these things, and it'll do it, and it does it so well. I'm interested to see. I've never taken a picture of someone. I'm just going to take a picture of you now.
Yep.
Hopefully it doesn't. Like, imagine it just roasts you. And then I'll get you. And I like the voices that it can. It can't do it. Features based on what I see. Yes. Well, I can't identify or describe the person, but I can describe the general gist of what I can see. Yeah. All right, here we go. It's loading up. It's crazy how quick they can do it. All right, it should.
The person in the image is a bald man with light skin, wearing black sunglasses and a white short-sleeved button-up shirt with a subtle textured pattern. He is seated at a wooden table with a microphone positioned close to his mouth, suggesting he is participating in a podcast or recording session. He has a serious or neutral facial expression. His arms, which are partially visible, appear to have some tattoos. The background features a black wall covered in graffiti-style signatures, drawings, and stickers, giving the setting a raw, underground, or artistic feel. There is also a skateboard leaning against the wall. On the table, there is an empty or partially consumed plastic bottle of chocolate milk, some cords, and other small items.
That's bloody incredible, really.
I'm saying.
Like that's.
But now imagine that. So like in context of like a photo of like a girl, like doing a thirst trap. It will do all of that, but it won't be like it won't let you know like she's also naked.
Yeah.
Or do you know what I mean? Like, or it will let you know, but it won't. It's so interesting how they skirt the periphery of like describing that element, which is a point of contention between some people, because it's all freedom of information, right? That people who have a vision impairment should have the same freedom of access to understanding of information that you get when you look at
It's just
something.
hard because there's so many dicey things because people are not normal.
Yeah, but like
you have to have filters on these things or else people go wild.
yeah, but I understand that, but like why can't it just like in at least like very
Manners wanted to see the thirst trap.
No, but I just want to like.
Yeah,
I just find it interesting that that's where the limitation is.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Like
Grok is a lot less filtered.
Okay, that's interesting.
Grok is Twitter's,
and like I just want to know like what's the you know what I mean? Like because I asked, I was just like, you know, why can't you describe X, Y, Z? And I was like, you know, this is the limitations of my algorithm or whatever. And I was like, but don't you think like it's immoral for you to limit freedom of access of information? And they were like, yeah, that's a pretty good point. Like, and I was, it's an interesting thing because it's like you can tell somebody's like made this decision, but it's like, why though?
Well, Grok is what I use for my thumbnails, and that's a lot more unfiltered. Mm-hmm. You can do a lot more with it, but I actually had to switch off the fun feature. Mm-hmm. And get it to talk strictly as an AI because I found that it was roasting me a lot, and it was actually really annoying me.
Yeah, right.
You can put it on like a somewhat sarcastic mode.
Yeah,
and you can now I haven't done it yet, but there's a feature now where you can modify your own Grok, which is it has like a questionnaire about you and your purpose for using it, and it'll become totally tailored around that.
That's good.
So now when I write in thumbnails, if I write, I want a picture of my last one. I did one with Josh Barnett, who his fighting name was the War Master. Mm-hmm. So I got Grok to make me up a photo of a army tank with American flag wrapped around it, bald eagle in the background, and his name was embossed on the front in glowing text.
Wow.
And it was sick. And in the background, without me even asking, it put the Sesh with Sav podcast.
Oh, that's sick.
Like because it's learnt my algorithm. It's learnt.
I noticed that even when because I'll get help to do like service agreements or value proposition, right? and it does it does the same thing. It incorporates it. Sometimes it's interesting, the memory, because I alternate between primarily using Copilot, which is the Microsoft Edge AI, or I'll use ChatGPT, and there's one or two other ones I might use, but ChatGPT, even like I'll use it like if I'm cooking something new, I'll be like, how do I cook? I know how to do it, but let's say, for example, how do I cook a steak medium well? And it will say, and I was like, it will give like Fahrenheit, or I was like, it needs to always be in Celsius. I'll say like, let's say that assuming that the heat for the stove, let's apply a clock analogy, where 10 o'clock is high heat and 3 o'clock is low heat. Like, where should I have the dial pointed? And I'd be like, oh, with that context, it should be pointed, 8 o'clock, or do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it'll be like, yeah, cook it till the steak is, or whatever, is like brown, or I was like, now, but knowing that I can't see, how do I do it? And then it'll give me alternative, listen to how it sizzles in that way, or I use a food thermometer to make sure my food's cooked, and it tells me the temperature and stuff like that. But it's like, there's just so, like, I notice sometimes it remembers that I can't see, and other times it forgets. But the possibilities from this thing is crazy. I know there's a lot of negatives around it, and I acknowledge that. But for me, personally, like, I think it's about to get even more incredible, and I'm really excited for it. And I'm sure that there'll be like the introduction of all things that disrupt our society. There's going to be a period of adjustment, and the period where there's mishaps that we have to learn to regulate in real time. But I think it's going to be very incredible. I'm already hearing just the possibility of people being able to have using smart glasses with an earbud in, and having it narrate as you're walking down the street and stuff like that. Like, I think that's going
to be a game changer.
That's what I'm saying. It's about to be incredible, man. Like,
well, I actually have, like, in my head, I've been thinking about this a lot. I really want to do that video of me being blind for like at least 12 hours. Mm-hmm. I know what series of tasks I want to do.
Yeah.
I want to wake up. I want to chuck it on. I want to go to...
Gotta get dressed first, big dog.
Yeah, okay. So I got to get dressed. I want to go to the... I want to go to the shops to buy a steak and a salad mix. I then want to go past the pub and have a beer. I want to come home and cook a barbecue with charcoal.
Wow.
I want to step right into it. Then watch a movie. And then mow the lawns.
Let's do it.
Do you mow lawn?
Nah.
Have you?
I got fake grass, big dog.
Oh, that's a power play right there.
Also, I'd just like get Jim's mowing, or whoever.
Maybe I can't even mow my lawn now. I'm so bad at it.
And you got a dog?
Oh, I wouldn't take Bruno for a walk blind.
No, but I'm talking about, like,
he's going to be getting in my way and shit.
Crap on your lawn.
I wouldn't be able to clean that, dude.
That's what I'm saying. So what do you do? You just do the mowing and just have that shit flying up everywhere.
I don't know.
That's what I'm saying, bro. This is good. I'm really excited for this for you.
Even just ordering a beer would be a fucking nightmare.
Yep. What do they have on tap?
Oh no, I'd have to go to a foreign pub.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I'd have to go to a foreign pub because I know everything about all the pubs down here.
Yeah.
But we were going to keep it short one today.
Yeah, I think this has been good.
I think we bounced to it a lot. Just to reiterate your business, where we can find it.
Yeah, Person First Disability on Instagram and Facebook. Please feel free to reach out if you feel like I can provide value in any regards. I'm also happy to help people navigate the NDIS to whatever capacity I can. Just looking to bring value. So if you're in need and you feel like something that I've spoken about today resonates with you, please do reach out. I'm looking to build and connect with people and to have a positive impact on my sphere of influence. So do reach out. Thank you again for having me, brother. I appreciate your time and energy, and I look forward to doing it again soon.
Easy, man. Thanks for coming on. Knuckles right in front of you.
Bless up.
Boom.
My man.
Cheers.